Good morning, children. Children, in the last class, we were learning about expansion of democracy, where we have seen the issue of Libya, children. So, this democracy fight, how did they started? It was actually under the military rule of Gaddafi, okay? And under Gaddafi, there was a considerable development in Libya. There was considerable development. Development is not something, okay? They got free health checkup, free hospitals, free schools, and the literacy rate in Libya increased to 90%, and women have equal opportunity on par with the men in Libya. So these things had made Gaddafi one of the most prominent leader in Libya. So the new Libyan leadership tried to encourage the participation of the common people in the action and in the public affairs, to participate in creating the public councils and elected people's assembly in the center. As the society rapidly started changing due to the development, and the educated middle classes started dominating, they were not ready to trust the Gaddafi. The government which was under Gaddafi was not ready to trust these democratic bodies like People's Council. They were not ready to trust them. And instead, it created a parallel system to these People's Council called as Revolutionary Council. Okay, an elected body will be there, and parallel to that, one military body will be there. That is called as Revolutionary Council, which will be led by these 12 members. RCC is there, no? Revolutionary Command Council. That will be under the control of them. Even though there is elected body, but the real power lies with the military rulers only. So instead, and the democratic bodies had to implement the decisions which have been taken by these non-elected bodies. Non-elected means that means the military people, whatever decisions they take, that has to be implemented by the people who got elected to this People's Council. As a result, people lost interest in these bodies, but the government kept trying to enforce their participation in the government. The RCC was also very intolerant of the criticism and opposition, and it was very brute armed force to arrest, torture and kill the political opponents. Whoever had criticized the RCC, whoever has criticized the Gaddafi, they started catching them, torturing them and killing them. So this kind of brute armed force was also used against their political opponents. And there was no freedom of press. Press cannot write on their own opinion. They have to bind to the diktat. Okay, the armed forces will dictate the terms, only those things should be written in the press. The same kind of situation is present in North Korea today. Okay, what I am telling you, the situation is the same like what is present in North Korea today, Kim. Okay, so such kind of many restrictions are imposed even on the press also, and the independent organizations like trade unions or other associations were also not allowed in the country. No political parties were allowed to function in Libya. So this is how the Libyan Revolutionary Command Council started controlling it with force, but not with the public participation. Such a dictatorial functioning, what happened at one point of time, even though there is a development, people get dissatisfied over your rule. So they could not consolidate the position of very powerful families that control the government, and the RCC and the oil companies owned by the government. So as a result of that, they came to be hated by the people for their high-headedness, but the people had no way of expressing their discontentment. Even though they are dissatisfied, they cannot express, because it was not a democratic system. It was only a dictatorial and military rule, and which was led only by few families, and they were enjoying all the benefits. And rapid development, urbanization, there was development. I don't tell that it is completely pushed into the backward, but because of Gaddafi, there was a development, rapid development was there, and emergence of new economic opportunities and jobs meant the tribal way of life was slowly getting eroded in Libya. Until then, it was animal herders groups which were present in Libya, but now they started taking up jobs because of the education they got, and different tribes began to mix up and live together in societies because of the new values, new ideas developed through the education. So most of the new jobs were now available in government sector, which controlled all the oil resources, trade and industry. And the new middle class emerged in Libya because of education and jobs, which was keen on taking up business and trade and industry but such opportunities were closed down due to the political policy, due to the government policies and due to the military policies. Not the government. The government is run by the military. So it was because of the military policies they were closed to these middle class people. And these were under the control of only powerful families in the country. And those were military officers. In the later half of the 2010, what happened? There were movements to establish a democratic government. How long will you suppress and keep them? Okay, you cannot keep them under the barrel of a gun for a longer time. So slowly, what happened? The discontentment started arising, and it has become as a movement. By the later half of the 2010, there was democratic movements started establishing across the Arab world. It began with a small country in Tunisia. Okay, it did not started in Libya. It actually started in another African country in Arab world, that is in Tunisia. So, and it spread to Egypt, then to Libya, then to Yemen, then to Bahrain, and then to Syria. So, these all Arab countries had faced these democratic revolutions. And this revolutionary wave of demonstrations, protests and wars taking place in the Arab world that began in December 2010. And now it is famously called as a Arab Spring. What do we call it as? Arab Spring. Arab Spring बोले तो क्या है जी? What do you mean by Arab Spring? Arab Spring बोले तो the new democratic revolutions that had taken place in the Arab world, starting from Tunisia to Syria, is called as Arab Spring. Arab Spring. So this is about the Libya, children. In tomorrow's class, we'll see how there is a change of Libyan government. गद्दाफी को निकाल के democratic government कैसा establish हुआ, कल के class में पढ़ेंगे. Thank you, children.